Well, YouTube gets a treat. This is a Patreon video. I did the Dearman case on Patreon already, but all I have on there for that video is the mother and the two children. And to see that one, you need to go watch it on Patreon. But I saw that there is actually a father's interview from BBC, and so we are going to do Ricky Dearman. We will not be talking about anything that he is accused of. We will not make presumptions. We are strictly looking at his body language, as there is a lot of conspiracy around this case. Let's get started.
September, and I can't remember how, but I found out that the police were looking for me. It might have been social services got in touch with me, and said that you need to go to the police station, and the children have been taken away from your mom.
All right, so as we start, we can see that his body is moving with him. And as he is beginning this, there's truthfulness that we see.
And I'm saying, why? Why they've been taken away from the mom? What's going on? And they won't tell me anything. And I was kind of freaking out a little bit.
And what did the police say to you that you'd been accused of?
Now, watching, and I hate it when they zoom in like this because it cuts off the body. But in looking at his face, he's accessing memory. And we can see in the direction that his eyes are going that usually on this side is an access of memory. And we can already see this turning red in that teary-eyed moment. And we see the trembling of the bottom of the chin. And it would be a true cry moment if we hear it in his voice, because when you build up tears and they don't roll down your face, or you're trying to hold them back, the snot in the back of your throat, it'll run down the back of your throat and you will hear it when they speak. And that would actually be a true cry, whereas the fake criers, they want all the tears to come out in the front. They want it to run down your face because people are much more visual animals than they are hearing. So when you hear it, that's another layer of truth, and if you don't hear it, it goes into the layer of lies.
They'd said, I'm okay with what they said. It was,
And we're seeing a lot of swallowing, which would indicate a lot of flow to the back of the throat.
it's more that it had come from my children. They'd said that I'm the leader of a satanic.
And more swallowing, which means it's still accumulating. It's not an off and on switch.
Satanic sex cult paedophile ring, and there's 100 plus involvement in this, including CAS, the police,
And he's still accessing memory.
social services, the school, and I'm the leader of this, and
He's heavily accessing memory. And what we're seeing is he's accessing verbal dialogue memory, and at the same time, he's going through a visual memory.
I'm sat across, and they're recording this, and I'm sat across from the table from the police officer asking the questions, and I don't know how to answer that to.
Well, what was your reaction? I mean, did
Well,
you...
it's difficult to have a reaction because I was kind of okay because it's just ludicrous.
Yes.
It was the fact that my children had said this.
And what else had they apparently told the police that you'd done?
They said that my children, my two children, 8 and 9.
And he's still accessing memory. And we see that the eyes are going red again and is becoming teary again. And it'll be confirmed if we see a lot of swallowing and hear it in the back of the throat. as he tries to hide it, whereas a deceptive person will let it stream down their face. They want it to come out the front of their eyes because most, as I said again, most people are very visual and they react more to the visual.
It's okay.
And we see swallowing. And more swallowing. And more swallowing.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
They said
And now we hear it in the voice.
that's that I'd sexually abused them.
And we saw lots of swallowing.
And I was selling them to people.
Continued swallowing.
My kids are wonderful. I swear.
Now, the mental block here that we're going to be seeing and that we are beginning to see, the shaking of the head, the not being able to speak. And when you come against something that you find repulsive or you mentally don't want to go there, is an adult, because most adults can do this, children cannot. Well, I should say young children cannot. It is a learned behavior to control your emotions. So as we watch him try to filter through this and get out of this emotional state, most people will try to make their brain think of something else. But unfortunately, he's in an interview, so he doesn't really have that escape.
And
And he's still accessing memory. He went to a visual memory there.
I've been selling them in this satanic cult thing. Not just, they said by myself, but by, they named 60, 78 people. And they said that we're killing babies.
Now we see his whole body move with him.
Them in, and we was cooking. They were showing with their hand movements how I would get their hand on.
And we see his whole body moving with him. Now, I know that he is an actor. So I went and looked at, he's got like some kind of teaser trailer or, stuff that he does to show off his acting skills. And I studied that before doing this so that I could see what his acting looks like. What does it look like when he's trying to portray? And that's why I can look at him now and say what I'm saying. So he's not portraying.
On the knives, and we would cut the baby's neck, drain the blood, and then drink the blood. And I mean, it's just horrific upon horrific detail.
Was it abroad, you think, where your ex-partner and her new boyfriend filmed your children making these allegations, which were then uploaded onto the internet?
Yeah. What they did, they beat my kids. They called licks, where you get a spoon and you hit.
Now, it took him a little while to answer that as he was thinking, but he didn't access anything to construct something. He was going into memory. So as he's recounting the story, where it's coming from a memory.
The kid, I said a kid, it was in this instance, it was my two children.
And we can sit there and say that's another technique to control yourself when you can separate it. They took licks, a kid, and I say this, it's my two children. He's trying to separate it. It can separate the emotional tie to it and make him able to speak without breaking down.
And her boyfriend had
And of course, he's still in memory. Eventually, we're going to skip out of here and we're going to go to other key parts of this interview.
Punched my son in the ear.
And we can hear it in the back of his throat.
And they were told to recount these allegations of what I'd done, or supposed to have done, as well as all these other people.
And lots of swallowing.
And when they wouldn't, they said, no, Papa, he didn't do this. And they said, yes, he did. You stupid little to my daughter. And it's sick.
Those clips of your children making those allegations,
Yeah.
some people watching us now
Yes.
will have clicked on them.
Well, very much so. One video in the first 10 days, nearly 300,000 views. One video. There's now hundreds of them all over.
According to the judge involved in
He's still swallowing from that, but as we see the subject change into videos and got him away from memories, and he's no longer staying in a memory, he's now having conversation of inner thought about videos, and he's regaining more control over his emotional state. So we're going to skip forward into another key area.
The judge said that your children had been forced to concoct accounts of horrific events by their mother and her partner, and that their
And did you just see that one? Look here on either side of the nose down to the lip.
accounts of horrific events by their mother and her partner, and that their
That's extreme malice. Her mentioning the mother and the boyfriend, I don't know if they're married, I just know his name is Abraham, brought out extreme malice.
stories came about as a result, the judge said, of relentless emotional and psychological pressure.
And he's accessing memory as she is speaking on that.
And significant physical abuse. And that included hitting, punching, pinching, pushing, and pouring water on them as they were kneeling down, half-dressed. And she used the word torture.
She did.
And he is starting to tear up again. Just a little FYI on the tears. When you're trying not to cry, or at least let your tears flow down your face, you will try very hard not to blink. There is a duct right here on both sides, and anyways, because you don't close your eyes when you're tearing up, you allow that duct to stay open and it drains down the back of your throat. So when you're trying to force tears down your face, blinking, you blink a lot. Squeeze them out, shut that ductwork off so that they can't drain down the back and hide.
Can you imagine what your children have been through?
Pay attention to this as well. Can you imagine what your children have been through? And he's gone quiet, and see where he's looking. And then he looks up. So he looked in memory first for can you imagine what your children have been through? And then he looks up in visual and construction. Can you imagine what your children have been through? So first in memory for himself to go through what they went through, which is on terms with a healthy mind that puts themselves in their children's shoes or someone else's shoes. It's an empathy search. That is what I would call a true empathy search. He couldn't find anything, so he went into the constructive and the visual search to imagine.
8 and 9. These guys are
Still looking, and he's in constructive and visual. And constructive does not mean you're putting together a lie. And for the People who have not seen the other videos, when you look in those areas, the brain is not set in stone as where areas go. Just so you know, it melds and flows through, but it's a loose gate. I wouldn't expect in a gate system, if there's 20 gates in between gate A and gate D, that they really wouldn't touch each other. But if they're really close, as we're seeing right here, in the visual searching and construction, we can say that he's putting something together, trying to imagine, but not in the sense of deceptive, because we're not seeing it anywhere else. Because all body language, when you're looking at something, you look for multiple tells. And his body so far, which is our biggest tell because it involves so many muscles in it, is saying that he is answering in his truth.
I think it's worth telling our audience how far it got. Your children were interviewed on 3 separate occasions by the police. On the first and second occasion, they made the allegations about you.
Yes.
Abusing them, sexually abusing
Yes.
them, being the leader of this satanic cult,
Yeah.
various other adults involved,
Yes.
abused in all sorts of places, fast food restaurants,
Yeah.
churches.
Now we see him give a little bit of a chuckle because in the beginning he stated it was ludicrous. And mentally, I have to think back, well, how would I feel if this happened to me with my kids? I would sit there and go, no, they didn't. And probably smile because that just sounds so ridiculous. But in his case, let's go back right there.
Abusing
Yes.
them, being the leader of this satanic cult,
Yeah.
The leader of the satanic occult, which is to him laughable. So the other points weren't laughable, but being the leader of a satanic cult was laughable. And you can speculate on why that's laughable. And that would be just pure speculation because his body isn't telling me that he's the leader of a satanic cult. It's more telling me that he's kind of, a little bit of shaking it off mixed with a little bit of taken aback. And it's hard to articulate the emotion to that because it's like mixing love and hate together. You know they coexist in some form, in some way, in some moment, but you can't articulate what that looks like. You can't really articulate what that feels like to someone else. And just like here, we can't really articulate exactly what's going on. I can just tell you that it's a brush off. It's kind of ludicrous, mixed with hurt, along with sadness.
various other adults involved,
Yes.
abused in all sorts of places, fast food restaurants,
Yeah.
churches, swimming pools.
Swimming baths. Yeah. Sure. Yes.
It was on the third occasion that they were interviewed that they revealed, admitted, whatever word you want to use, that it was all made up, that
Yes.
they'd been forced to say these things by their mother's partner or he'd threatened to hurt them.
Yes.
When you knew that your children had said these things we've been saying are all made up, how did you respond?
He's back into memory.
This I felt pleased about, as these are my kids. And Mom had tried in every way to come up with a new story to stop contact. And be it I was violent to her, and
And he is accessing memory when he's telling this part of the story. And his body is in agreement with him.
I got domestic, like I've apparently got a background of domestic violence. I don't.
Were you ever violent to her?
Yes, on 2 occasions, 3 occasions, but 2 occasions were the same. On 1 occasion, because of the abuse over the years with
And he's accessing memory.
Mom and myself, where she was just trying to hurt me, just verbally, and the children.
And he accessed an emotion there. He's not looking directly at the camera. It looks like he's accessed emotion there as well.
And so I got her glasses, and I just, out of frustration, I ripped her glasses up. That was one. And 2 other times
But he is a really simple-minded individual because he accesses memory constantly. Not that that's a bad thing. Simple-minded are so much easier to deal with.
grabbed hold of Mom with her jumper or whatever she had on, and I would shake her. I would plead with her to stop hurting me. Why are you doing this? And she would
And he's accessing memory. He keeps going back and forth to inner self and memory.
just be glazed. There's nothing there, and she would smile at me, like she's not. It's like she's not there. It's like it's just something's just not connecting. And so those are the two times that you can say, well, you're violent. Yeah, well, I shouldn't have done that. But this is months and months and months and months of just abuse.
Those clips online of your children making those allegations about
Yes.
you, horrific, and as we now know, completely concocted and fantastical allegations, they're online forever.
They are.
And the judge said it may mean serious humiliation in the years ahead, maybe for the rest of their lives. What can you do as their father to try and either protect them from that or ameliorate that somehow?
They're going to have some help, or a lot of help, and to be in a good environment, positive living, and one word is to be able to give them a certain understanding of sadly at a younger age than we should need to have to, of what this world can be like.
Why has their mother done this? Why? That is the huge question here.
It is.
They will
Now, and go back, because she just asked why, and watch his eyes.
Why has their mother done this? Why? That is the huge question here.
It is.
And he is searching all over the place on that why. He's gone up, he's gone left, he's gone down, he's gone right. He's just looking everywhere, trying to figure out why. Why? And this would be more on the basis of constructive. It's where you're constructing something to put together when you see that much eye movement. Not everyone's eye movement will move that much for you to see it, loudly anyway. And not everyone's eye movement will go in the same areas to construct something, because people think differently. We're not all cookie cutted. So as we watch him, and he is searching.
They will ask why.
They will ask why, and that's.
He is still searching. He's accessing a lot of memory for this search, and he's accessing a lot of inner self too. So he's relying on his inner self for an answer. He's relying on memory for an answer.
That's going to be a very tough question to answer to not two young children, but two young children about their mom. It's about one parent stopping contact. That's all this is. It's unprecedented. I don't get it.
And you see, as he says that, he doesn't say that from memory. He's saying that from his inner self, because that's what he constructed. That's what he came up with.
And this is why this is not just this case now. This is 6 years in court before, in private proceedings. For me, private proceedings and the courts, on an epic scale, I've let my children down. They've assisted, in a way.
The judge talked about the long-term impact on your children in her judgment, which was made public. And she suggested that the emotional and psychological harm of what was done to your children by their mother, by her mother's boyfriend, is impossible to estimate. She went on, the impact of the internet campaign is likely to have the most devastating consequences for your two children. What might be the long-term impact on them, do you believe?
We don't know the answer to this, so I'm speculating, whatever.
And again, we see him searching. This is this searching moment.
With a lot of patience, I really, maybe I'm naive, but I think with a lot of patience, a lot of love.
And he's still searching as he's saying this.
I'm hoping, because I can't answer for my children because I don't know their minds, but I think if you can have a good understanding yourself and prepare them or educate them is maybe a better word, to educate them about things, and and to give them wisdom and knowledge, etc. In a
So he's looking in inner self, he's looking into memory, but he doesn't look out. He doesn't go into construction. He doesn't look into other than himself and his personal memories. I personally would be looking for, the outside to help me, but he does not.
in a caring environment, um, I truly think that it's going to be okay.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
They're in care at the moment. They were taken into care when the allegations surfaced last September.
Yes.
You're clearly fighting to get them home.
There is no reason why the children should not come and live with me, and they would have a wonderful life, as they did back when they were 1, 2, and 3 years old, before all this started when I left their mom. And we can get back to that.
How are they now?
They are.
We're going to stop here. I think we've covered enough on it. If you liked it, leave a like. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.